I pledge allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag of
of
the
the United States of America,
and to the
and to the
republic
republic
for
for
which
which
it
it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. 1, is it the truth?
True.
2, is it
Fair to all concerned.
3,
Will it build goodwill, better friendships?
4,
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Okay. Gong, the official meeting is officially started. Not the official meeting. The meeting is officially started. Get it right here. And I'd like to welcome our guests. And who have we got that are guests? Val Parker. Anybody else is a guest? No?
Tao Chang.
Oh, okay. And who is he a guest of?
Hi, this is Tao. I'm just a part of the community. I'm interested in learning more about Habitat for Humanity.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for joining us. Welcome. Guests are always welcome at our Rotary meetings.
Thank you.
Feel free to enjoy the lunch that's served, maybe.
Hi, Tao. It's Lori.
Hello.
Hi, how
Sorry,
are you?
I'm good. I'm working from home, so I'm multitasking.
You're not letting everybody see your beautiful face.
Thank you.
Okay, is any other guests that we have besides those? Okay. Do we have any announcements of great pressing importance? Yes, Dick Anderson.
Yes, it is my pleasure to, as the foundation chair, to announce a foundation award to our own Jonathan Abeloff. Jonathan is getting his Paul Harris +4 pin today, and I'm going to ask his lovely wife to pin that pin on him.
On the front?
Virtually.
On his ear.
Yeah,
It's on our porch?
On his nose.
Yeah,
Okay.
Belly button.
It's the wife's choice. Congratulations, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Oh, welcome, Lane. Nice that you could make it. Maybe he's not here yet, but anyway, he's coming. Okay, are there any, thank you, Dick Anderson, and thank you, Jonathan, for your contributions to Paul Harris Fund. Are there any other announcements? Okay, let's go to Richard Rubin. And Richard, I'm sure you have an announcement about next week's program and the week after that, perhaps, and then our speaker.
Yeah, so next week, Mark Elliott will be doing Student of the Quarter. And the following week, we will have Mike Darnold, who will talk to us about RILA.
Great.
And then the week after that, Orange County Master Gardeners. You won't want to miss that.
Cool. Okay. All right. I see that Lane Calvert has joined us. Welcome, Lane. Thank you for coming.
You bet.
I will now turn it over to Dick to introduce our speaker.
Or you could do it
I'm
to
sorry,
me.
Richard Rubin. Sorry.
No problem. Habitat for Humanity of Orange County is part of a global nonprofit housing organization that seeks to put love and faith into action by building homes, communities, and hope. Habitat for Humanity of Orange County is dedicated to eliminating substandard housing locally and worldwide through constructing, rehabilitating, and preserving homes, by advocating for fair and just housing policies, and by providing training and access to resources to help families improve their shelter conditions. Our speaker today is Val Parker, who is Director of Volunteer Services. Welcome, Val, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be able to share a little bit more about Habitat and what we do and answer your questions. dispel some myths perhaps, and most importantly, get you all inspired to somehow participate in some way. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, I think it's set to automatically.
Okay.
We try it anyway.
So I have a little slideshow. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'm excited to tell you a little bit about Habitat. As we said, our vision is a world where everybody has a decent place to live. What does that look like? If everyone had a decent place to live in our community, we'd have a safer, cleaner, more stable neighborhood, stable in a lot of ways, but especially for families, be it individuals, couples, families with kids, the financial stability to give them peace of mind. So what we think about for families, when they have the family stability, then it affects their children. The peace of mind and the stability gives the kids generations to come. It really changes the trajectory of the families and of the community. We are a home ownership, so we are about home ownership. And the way to think about it is there's a continuum. The housing spectrum is a continuum. At one end, people think about, and it's super important, is the homeless population, people who need a place to live. Another step would be affordable rental units, so people can afford rental units. But on the other end of the continuum, which is what Habitat works on, is providing affordable home ownership. And we believe that that's a really important part of the continuum that often gets left out of the conversation. But if you provide affordable home ownership is what really creates a stability for the community, for families, and changes, the history for a community and a neighborhood and for families. So that is what we do. Habitat was founded in 1988 by Millard and Linda Fuller. A lot of people think it was started by another very famous Georgia person. And if we were all together, I would say, who do you think that is? And somebody will say Jimmy Carter. And Jimmy Carter is just a volunteer. He didn't come into Habitat till after his presidency, and he is a volunteer just like any of you could be. In 1976, Habitat started, and in 1988 is when Orange County Habitat started. So within just 20 years, it spread around the world, in every county, in every state, with the idea of providing affordable, decent home ownership. We are a general contractor company. So we build regular homes, build permits, building codes, all of that, which we then build affordably to sell to families. How do we make them affordable? A couple different ways. Cities partner with us to provide land. So that's a big donation that cuts off a lot of the cost of the home. But then also we get a lot of materials that are donated or given to us at cost. I throw out Antis Roofing always, because Antis Roofing provides all of our roofs for free for all of our homes. That's huge. And then, of course, the way that we all think about Habitat is volunteers. So the volunteer equity, that efforts that people contribute, really keeps the costs down. And then this is super important because, it's really expensive to live in Orange County. Last I checked, it was to qualify for a starter basic home here in Orange County, your family's got to make about $115,000. That's a huge amount of money. There are a lot of people with really good jobs, good stable families, but they just don't have that income. So that's where we sell our homes to those families. Families who perhaps from rent goes up every year, super expensive. People spending 50, 60, 70% of their income on rent. Let's make affordable home ownership a reality for them. We do not give the homes away. So that we want to make sure we understand that families have to qualify for our homes just like they would, you or I would, anybody would. They have to have, down payment. They have to have a good job. They have to have a good debt to income ratio. They have to have a good credit score, all of those kinds of things to qualify. Additionally, our homeowners must be first-time homeowners, and there has to be a need. The need is a really broad statement. So a need could be something like they could live in a really unsafe neighborhood. They could live in a very overcrowded condition. They could live in a house or an apartment where the landlord doesn't keep up. We have families that come in with no hot water in their home or a lot of mold. So there needs to be a need, first-time home buyer, and then of course they have to qualify for the mortgage like anybody else. The last thing they have to do is agree to the sweat equity. So everyone who's on title for the homes that purchase from Habitat puts in 250 hours of equity to help build their home. So it's really an honor if you ever come out to a construction site and you're working side by side with a future homeowner and helping them build their home. It definitely works. We're really excited to say to this date, we have built over 240 homes in Orange County, and there have been no foreclosures. So during the Great Recession, there was no foreclosures, and even now there are no foreclosures. We have good relationships with banks, so we help the families stay in their homes. We also provide services, financial planning, budgeting workshops, those kinds of things to help them be successful in their homes. And then the really cool thing is when a family lives in their home, they are living there, they're making their mortgage payment, they're accruing equity in their home just like anyone in a market rate home. And then when they go to sell their home, they sell it back to Habitat for Humanity. So right now we have hundreds of homes in Orange County and always have homes for sale. I think the way to think about it is, here's a market rate home, here's a Habitat home. Say you're in a home for 10 years, equity goes up. The equity in that Habitat home goes up at the same rate. So even when they sell it back to us and they have accrued all this equity in their home, they're still selling it back to us at less than the market rate. So we can resell it, and it is always an affordable home. So that's a pretty nice gift to a community, especially now. I don't know how much any of you follow the home housing numbers that, every city has to provide so many affordable housing units. The nice thing about providing Habitat units is they don't ever convert to market rate. They're always affordable housing units. Here's one of our families. This is Jennifer and Ernesto. They bought a house in Cyprus in 2015, and by buying a house, they lived in pretty crummy conditions. They were able to stabilize their rent and their financial security. So Ernesto was able to go back to school and become a dental technician. Jennifer moved closer. They moved to Cyprus. She worked in LA, and they had lived actually in South Santa Ana. So they were able to cut a bunch of commute time off of her. So she got to spend more time with her family. And mostly they have this peace of mind now, and they are doing really well. I believe, in fact, they are thinking about moving up now that they've been able to live there with a stable house payment that's affordable. We set it at 30% of their income when they purchase their home, that they've saved enough money and are thinking of actually moving into a market rate home. So that's pretty exciting. Let me share a little bit on how you can get involved, because you can do a lot more things than just work on the construction site. Of course, we want you to work on the construction site because that's certainly what we like, but there's a lot of other ways you can be involved too. One of the easiest things you can do is shop at our Habitat restores. I don't know how many of you are familiar with our restores. We have two of them, one in Santa Ana and one in Anaheim. The Habitat Restore is a store. It's about half and half. Half of it is, as you see from this slide, this is, I think, our Santa Ana store. gently used furniture, and the other half is building supplies. So I definitely say before you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you should always check out the Restore. We have tons of building supplies all the time, and it's at a lower rate than what you would get at Home Depot. All of the supplies and everything that is there is donated. So you could help with us by donating to the Restores. You think you're buying a new refrigerator and your old one works fine, you're just getting a new one because you're remodeling or whatever, you could donate your old refrigerator. We put a new carpet in our house, and at the end you get like, oh, this carpet left over, like, what the heck, what am I going to do with this? We donated it to the Restore because it was certainly enough to do a large living room even. A lot of our materials are donated, are brand new, donated by contractors. They're overstock. They purchase too much flooring, too much pavers, whatever. So we have new materials like that. We just had an Ace Hardware that went out of business, and we got all of their stuff as they did their clearance. We got all of the Ace Hardware things. So they're nuts, bolts, everything from an Ace Hardware. So a lot of new things along with gently used construction materials and furniture. We get a lot of furniture that's new. We have Wayfair. We get Wayfair returns and some overstock from a couple of patio furniture. Right now, go look for patio furniture. Who knew patio furniture has different years? So they're getting rid of the 2020 to get 2021 patio furniture. So we have all this overstock, brand new. So shop at a Restore, donate to the Restore. Then another way you could help us is to spread the word about our home ownership program. A lot of people don't recognize that we sell our homes to regular, ordinary people that just don't make that income level to purchase a home in Orange County. And we always have homes for sale. Right now, we are just starting to build homes in Stanton. And in Stanton, we're building 6, they're 4-bedroom homes. So we're looking for families. These are moderate income homes, which means families can be making up to that $115,000 income and still qualify, or I think even more than that if you have a large family. These are homes. This home is a home in Fullerton, and we are just finishing up right now some more duplexes. This is a duplex. They're 3 bedrooms. In Fullerton, we have 2 for sale right now. We're looking for families for. And then we have a number of resale homes. Like I said, homes are always being resold. We started in Rancho Santa Margarita back in 1988. There was lots of land in Rancho Santa Margarita. So they gave us a whole housing tract. That was 30 years ago. Those folks have paid off their mortgage. Their children have moved away. Couples are downsizing. So we have some RSM homes down in South County right now. So there's always stock. So we need to just share the word. I think their tagline for our home buyers program is, it could be you. So share the word, on your social media. Perhaps you have a company that we could talk to. We just did a presentation to AAA because AAA has been a great supporter and a sponsor of Habitat for Humanity, but hadn't really thought about the home ownership end of it. And it's like, well, a lot of your employees are good employees, but they're driving from outside of Orange County to get to that job in OC because they can't afford to live here, although they make real money. They're real jobs. So we have some interest from there. So perhaps we could share with your company, or you could share at your church or just everywhere. Spread the word. Then, of course, the biggest way you could be involved is actually volunteering. Certainly working on the construction site. We build every day. You don't have to have any experience. You don't have to be young, old, anywhere. We are building in Fullerton right now, soon to build in Stanton. You could show up for one day or every day. But right now we're doing drywall and windows. So it might be kind of fun. So construction, helping in the Restore is another area. The Restore, much like the construction site, has a minimal amount of staff, and most of the work there is done by volunteers. So helping in the restore is a great place that we could always use help. And the restores are super busy right now. So we definitely need volunteers. We use office help. Warehouse is our warehouse construction, our construction warehouse. As a general contractor, we actually have our own construction warehouse with our own tools and materials. So it's pulling things together that we'll be needing on the construction site, pulling together the order of what they need. It is also a lot of repairing tools, because I've been out there, I've broken some things, because, you know, we are volunteers. And so it's helping to just do things like that, odds and ends, and other areas. So this is just some of the ways that you could volunteer. We always are having new volunteer opportunities also. I'm going to talk about, we have limited volunteers with COVID right now, of course, but we are an essential business as a construction company, as a home improvement store. So we do have volunteers right now on our construction site and in our restore, just less than what we've had before. And of course we have COVID protocols. You take your temperature, wear your mask, that kind of thing. Another way people can be involved is we have definite corporate opportunities. Some of you may be familiar with our team builds. That is when a company comes out and reserves a day and gets to build for the day. That brings out a group. Right now, we're not doing team builds because of COVID, but we hope to bring teams back in the next couple months, certainly by the summer, hopefully. Certainly on Stanton, I think we could do team builds because that's a pretty big lot and we could spread out. So that's what team builds. Rotary, you guys could be a team. All of you come out one day as a group, reserve a day and come out and build. We also have events. This slide is the trophy from our Leaders Build Challenge, which is a big event that happens every fall or spring, I guess. COVID mixes up our schedule. Where Leaders Build Challenge is where corporate leaders from companies from throughout Orange County get together. They build together for the morning. It's a great networking opportunity. You have a team, you're working on a project, framing day, things like that. We try and do house framing. And you contribute all day. And then the afternoon is spent in some pretty fun competition kinds of things like hammer throw and pounding in nails and those kinds of competition. And this is, of course, the trophy you win. It's a traveling trophy every year. So corporate team builds, a corporate word, could team builds and corporate opportunities. When I mean corporate, I mean groups. So it could be your company, Rotary. It could be your faith group. It could be Jay Sarah's football team came out and did a day. We put them on the beginning of the construction, so they had to sadly do trenching for us. But you know, high school boys, football players, they could do that. Their coach was happy. So I think this is my email, and I'll put it, if I see this, in the chat, and you could email me if you have any questions or want more information, but I would like to open it up for questions. I think that is most exciting. Of course, like us on all our social media. Of course, you could figure that. Our website is pretty easy. It's habitatoc.org. So.
I have a question.
Yes, I want questions.
Does the cities cut you any slack on the building permit fees?
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? No, that is why we do fundraisers. That is why we have the restore. That is why we search for corporate sponsorships, is that although the cities are very gracious in providing land, that's about as far as it goes. The building fees, yeah, I don't think cities are at all. And so that's a good question, because a lot of times people don't realize, well, if we have people volunteering, why do you need money? And it's like, well, if you know, construction fees are not cheap.
What is the typical permit fees for a house?
Oh my gosh. I don't know that. And I think the construction department would probably not want me to say this. It is in the tens of thousands for our, and we don't typically build just one house. So in Fullerton, it's a 12 units. And in Stanton, it's 6 units. So, but it is significant. It is significant.
When I was in Rotary in Oregon, we built a house. Our Rotary built houses in Forest Grove, and the building permit fees were over $40,000.
That's what I tend to think. It's tens of thousands of dollars.
It seems outrageously expensive.
Yep, it is expensive, the fees, and that is probably one of our biggest. We can get materials donated, we can get land donated, we can get volunteers, we get corporate, but it's those actual fees that people don't realize that really add up. And we do use subcontractors, and we do pay subcontractors for the trades. So we use subcontractors for the plumbing and the electrical. So, don't feel like you're going to come out and wire a house. You're not doing that. We leave that to the pros because, people have to actually live there. We can assist, but we do subcontract that out. So those are the costs that go with building a house. It's still significantly cheaper. More questions?
Yes.
So yeah, I have a question so let me just understand the logistics of somebody owning the house. For an example, if somebody buys a house for $300,000, they live in it for 10 years, it's now worth $700,000 market price. What would they, is there a formula that they can follow that says they're gonna have their equity grow at this rate or?
Yes. I'm not, who didn't like the calculus? I'm not a math person either. So that it's definitely a home buyer services. Our VP in charge of home buyer services, she comes from the banking industry. So she's quite in depth all this, but it is an algorithm, a formula, and you have to think about it. So if you buy a house that's at 300,000 today, and that would be like our Fullerton homes, that would be normal. And the neighborhood is selling, market rate is 600,000. Say in 10 years, those $600,000 homes have doubled. Your equity has also doubled. So
okay.
Then
so it basically follows whatever you put in, you're going to get out because at the same rate.
Exactly, at the same. It's roughly like their house payment. They say, is what you'll get back. Of course, it depends. Of course, how long you live in your house, right? Just like any of us, you live in a house 5 years or 30 years, you're going to have more equity after 30 years than 5 years.
I was just thinking of the example that you gave. You said that Rancho Santa Margarita, I think it was then that they bought houses 30 years ago, and now a lot of them are out of them. Well, that's 30 years ago. You might have sold that house for $50,000. Today, by today's standards, they might be worth $1 million. But if their subsidy was half the value of the house back then, they're still going to benefit by they're only going to be $500,000 up, not a $950,000.
But they still have a good chunk of change to take with them.
I get that, which leads me to my next question, which is, how do you, if the new price of that home is now market price is worth $1 million, like Rancho Santa Margarita might be, how do you make it continue to be an affordable house? It's the market value is so high.
So they don't flip their house. They sell it back to us so they bought it at 50,000 and they sell it back to us at 500,000. Market rate is $1 million. We will sell it at 500,000.
I see.
So it still is, which is a huge amount of money, right?
It is. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It may not be an affordable house.
But in which case, it kind of depends on, and the cities make rules. So not to get the weeds too much, but they give us okay, has to stay affordable. Maybe we have to sell it more at 300,000, but you know, it's an affordable, and it kind of goes with the income of the community. So
see.
if they say it's a low income for Rancho Santa Margarita, whatever is, you know, statistically is that low income for Rancho Santa Margarita. In Stanton, we're saying those are moderate income homes for Stanton neighborhood. Santa Ana, a low income home in Santa Ana. So it really varies, but it is affordable to the family for sure. So it's really, my boss said, don't talk about how much we sell homes for, because it's all over the place.
But to summarize, you're basically subsidizing them to be able to get in, and that's passing on a subsidy to the next person that's in line.
Absolutely.
And they still gives them an opportunity to be able to step up, and that's the great part.
We have a lot of families that do that. So yes, another question.
Yes. For these young families entering into the housing market for the first time, 20% down can be prohibitive. Now, are there any other programs than, say, a VA loan that would give you just no money down, just closing costs?
We do require a minimal amount, and we work with the families, and they do have a down payment, but they are not typically the 20%. But they do need to have a savings. They have to have their closing costs, a couple $1,000s, and a down payment, and that really varies too. It could be $2,000 to $10,000. You know, it's based upon their family and their situation. So it's the important thing is, even more than the down payment, is they have to have something, and, you know, stable income and stable savings, stable low debt. We're very, you know, can't have a high amount of debt, you know, can't be driving a $40,000 car, you know, like, sorry, that kind of thing. So that's a little bit on how we choose our families. Is there
a time, or does it ever happen, that these homes might transition into market price homes?
Yes, as a matter of fact, they are not Habitat homes forever. I just found this out. But it's something like 90 years. So it's on the deed. It's on the title of the houses. So eventually they will, but it's, and I learned this because we just signed this, a lease with the Santa Ana house we're going to be building. And it's like a 90-year lease. And it's like, you know, $5 a year or something. It's essentially giving us the land. So.
For first-time buyers, many of these young people, they started a family, they have a lot of college debt. It's hard to accumulate that money. Have you ever had considered a program of lease to purchase, where a certain amount of that rent would go toward a down payment to get them in?
You know, that's interesting. I think that there are other Habitat affiliates that explore that. We do not. And maybe that's something that they'll be thinking about right now. This year with the pandemic, it's been hard to find homeowners. So that is something, but that is not something. And I'd like to say we also are not limited to just young families. So we just sold a house. I don't think it was Ernesto and Jennifer's house, but it was another house in Cyprus to a couple. And it's pretty funny because they said, our home buyer social worker said, it's an older couple. And I'm like, what the heck? They're like younger than me, but they're getting closer to retirement age is what she meant to say. And they're a couple that has never been able to buy a house, and they have actually a 401k, they have retirement, and they realize with rent going up every year that they're going to eat up their retirement income like that. So for them to go in and to purchase a house right now, they did a 15-year mortgage based on what they make right now. And it's a formula like 30% of their income to buy the house, to go to their payment. They now have that stability to see them through retirement. So it's like a great idea. So we have a lot of older couples, older women, along with younger families and younger couples. Single people can buy a home as well, because I don't see how, you know, a single person starting out could, it just seems like possible in Orange County. So a whole wide range of people purchase our homes because we have a lot of different kinds of homes. So any other questions? I want to see you all out building. Okay. You guys are well, Stanton's a little far. Wait till when we open up our SantaAna home in French Park, the end of the year, maybe beginning of next year, come out and help us build. And in the meanwhile, spread the news.
Where are you building in French Park?
That's
on
Lacey Street.
Okay. Is it a lot that was torn down or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and it's taking quite a process because that's a historic district.
Yes.
So trying to keep things affordable. You know, they all want authentic wood and authentic everything, and a lot more process. But we'll be having a house there. So, you know, there's houses in your neighborhood. You don't even realize there are Habitat homes everywhere. So,
Cool.
Any other questions?
Okay. Anybody have any other questions, comments they want to address now? Okay.
I'm going to put my email, let's see, in the chat. So you could always contact me if you have any questions. HabitatOC.
Val P at habitatoc.org.
And habitatoc.org is our website, and that explains a lot of everything that we have. So no more questions. So shop at the restores, donate to the restores, tell people to buy our homes, and come out and volunteer. Lots of options for you.
Dan and I have been to the restore many times. It's very cool.
I'm sorry.
We're working on a house in Northern California, and we go to the restore up there all the time. And it's, you know, every time you go in, there's different stuff. It's
always different stuff. I actually purchased a hot tub there. So it was a Wayfair return. I don't know if you guys know this. So Wayfair, when you buy things online with Wayfair, they have you can return it. And so people return things because they get it and they realize they don't like it or whatever. And Wayfair doesn't want to deal with the returns. So they give them all to the Habitat affiliates throughout Southern California. So you had all these Wayfair returns. A lot of our volunteers in the restore put together the Wayfair furniture stuff. So that was, I guess, a hot tub. And it was a third of the price. I couldn't pass it up, but always changing out my desk chairs.
If you need a piece of tile for a bathroom that you chipped or something, they have tons of tile in different shapes and colors and everything you could possibly imagine. So if you need that little section of tile where you dropped your motor on it, crashed the tile, you may be able to find something that would match, and you may be able to find something that would work even if it didn't match. So,
or you could find enough to do the whole floor again. We have pallets full. We always have tile and flooring, always. So thank you very much for the opportunity to share. I love talking about Habitat and kind of helping people understand a little bit more about what we do. And I appreciate your time so much.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Val.
Thanks, Val.
Okay. I guess we're done with the program. Does anybody have any more announcements or things that they want to bring to our attention?
Just a quick reminder of 3 different events in March from the district. One is next Tuesday for the youth. We have our second Interact meeting. Hopefully you've got signed up your Interact youth. We've got a lot of exciting stuff that's going to be released about what we're going to be doing through the rest of this year and into the summer for the kids. Then we've got the board training on the Thursday, the 18th at 5:30. These are all on the calendar at 5320.org. And then click on the calendar. And then, of course, you're all invited, including the youth, to the summit to hear about some of the fun things that are going to be going on in Rotary as we come out of the COVID into the summer and into the fall on Saturday morning, the 20th. Again, these are all links that'll be sent to you, and I believe your incoming president, your outgoing president, Gary, a number of us have the information on the 18th, Thursday evening for the board, and also for the summit on Saturday morning from 9 to 11 on the 20th. So a lot of things going on this month. Hopefully we'll see some of you on Zoom.
Great, thank you, Wayne.
Next week is Students of the Quarter with Mark Elliott.
And next week on Tuesday is a board meeting, 5:30.
Next week on Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Larry Ledoux, good to see you.
board meeting.
Yeah, hi Larry.
Okay, if there's any other announcements, speak now or wait till next week. All right, seeing no hands waving about, thank you all for coming. And once again, Richard Rubin has brought us a very interesting topic, interesting program, and probably something that a lot of us didn't know a whole lot about. So thank you again, Richard and Val. It was a nice presentation. And I enjoyed it. I'm sure everybody else did. So thank you, everybody. And I will close the meeting with a gong and see you all next week. Same bat time, same bat station. And don't forget the board meeting on Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Bye.